Lula da Silva in Brazil has defeated the current president, Bolsonaro. So if you're not familiar with this, it's a very important kind of global event because Bolsonaro is this really far-right leader, and Lula da Silva is a left-wing leader, former president. And it was close, very, very close, but Lula da Silva has won, meaning a pretty distasteful leader in Bolsonaro will be, hopefully, if he doesn't follow the advice of American right-wingers, which is don't concede, will hopefully move on and no longer be in power, which I think is a good global event. We'll take a look a little bit more at that, but first, here is Trump's endorsement of Bolsonaro right before he ended up losing.
And I just have to say that I'm very proud of your last vote and will be even more proud of your current vote, October 30th, because you have a chance to elect one of the great people in all of politics and in all of leadership of countries. He's respected by everybody. Other leaders, I can tell you, including myself, respect him at the highest level. President Bolsonaro, he is doing a fantastic job for your country. He's bringing it back like nobody could. And I just say he has my complete and total endorsement.
So if you can imagine, it wasn't enough for the Brazilian people that the all wonderful, beautiful, perfect former presidential, or former president of the United States endorsed him. And it is interesting, this dynamic we're seeing play out across the world where there's almost more unity among similar ideologies than same countries. So there was this shirt going around among right-wingers that said, "I'd rather be Russian than a Democrat." And while that's kind of silly, there is this kind of bizarre unity among, in particular, I would say, this right-wing movement we're seeing across Europe, also in South America, and also, of course, we saw in the United States, and how they are starting to really commingle and interact with one another and support one another, even beyond the loyalty they may have to the United States. It's more important that these people are right-wingers, and I think that's pretty scary because there is a similar dangerous thread in a lot of that right-wing kind of nationalist ideology. But with that being said, the election results here from Yahoo News as it stands now. Brazil's Superior Electoral Tribunal called the race for Da Silva just before 7 p.m. Eastern Time, with the leftist holding a narrow 50.83% to 48.17% lead, with more than 98% of votes counted. So as I mentioned, it was a very, very close race, but Lula da Silva pulled it out. And then here's an American right-wing leader giving some horrible advice to Bolsonaro in this moment. And you can see we may start having to experience worldwide, not that we haven't in the past, but another kind of resurgence of this scary anti-democracy belief and ideology that is so present now in the United States, that is also rising up in other places. And Bannon is making that clear and telling Bolsonaro, don't concede.
What up, Honey Badger?
Hey.
So, I don't know if you heard all that, but Bolsonaro, we're going to see how they're going to respond. But
he cannot concede. Impossible.
Yeah. Well, what are the fulminations from the interconnected globalist cohort between media and you think the Biden State Department's not going to be? Sorry, excuse my French. Putting the screws to the Bolsonaros.
Screw Biden. Screw the State Department. Screw the CIA.
Now you're speaking my language.
No, I'm serious. Bolsonaro can't concede. By the way, people are saying I didn't say not worry about the machines. I said we have to outvote the machines.
Okay, we'll respond to the machines point in a second here, but first, there it is. Whoa, they're creating a narrative that it's this global cabal working to steal elections everywhere now. It's not just Donald Trump who got the election stolen from him. It's any right-wing leader that we love now has the election stolen across the world by Biden. I'm kidding, by a larger global cabal that Biden's a part of. And that's how you get to even more dangerous territory that we're in now, because the threat to democracy is not confined within our borders. and that's very scary. But then the machines point highlight something I've talked about before, where their logic around how they think these elections are stolen is so inconsistent. Because what we were told, and the point he kind of sort of alluded to, was that they have the power to flip votes within these voting machines. And then he says there, no, I need you guys to outvote the machines. So what you're trying to tell me is that the machines, someone can go in and just digitally flip them from Biden to Trump tens of thousands of times to steal the 2020 election. But if you vote enough times, they're just going to not be able to flip them? That makes no sense. And it's this realization, that they have, and I wish their followers would have, that, okay, at the end of the day, the claims we're making are BS. So we need to convince people to actually participate in our democracy, because we know that it is working fine, and we still want our right-wing leaders to get in power the correct way. But we need to make these claims as well. So, okay, it gets stolen, and they have all this power to steal elections, but also keep going out and voting, because if you vote enough times, then maybe it will just be too good for them to steal the election. Hurts to try to even explain the thoughts of a crazy person, but I did my best. And then here's Bannon again promoting violence so clearly.
Me, AOC, and the whole squad.
And this is someone he's interviewing, and then he'll respond to it.
Have no business touching on the American Constitution, because they have lit it on fire for the last 5 years, and they will not be permitted to have leadership positions of any kind, and we will conduct a full-scale overhaul of the intelligence and law enforcement communities, whether it's through a church-like commission or otherwise. But every member of Congress and every senator needs to be known when they're sworn in on January 1st, they were sent there for these reasons. This is why the American public sent you there. And if they forget, I'm going to come on your show and remind them by name.
No, we're going to do it by bayonet. By the way, MSNBC, you want something to complain about Kash Patel?
Listen to that one more time. That is terrifying.
By name.
No, we're going to do it by...
Sorry, let me go a little further back.
Every member of Congress and every senator needs to be known when they're sworn in on January 1st, they were sent there for these reasons. This is why the American public sent you there. And if they forget, I'm going to come on your show and remind them by name.
No, we're going to do it by bayonet.
No, we're going to do it by bayonet. So what Kash Patel is saying is we're sending them for a reason. And if they don't follow through with the reasons we sent them for, we're going to call them out by name. And Bannon goes, no, we're going to call them out or make it known by bayonet, by weaponry. That is just an outright public threat right there, promoting violence as clear as possible. And so the reason that I attached that on the end here is look at what is being set up. Bannon's the best example of it, but this is all across the right wing. Elections are being stolen across the world. Every right-wing leader we love here and in Brazil and all across, in Hungary, if they ever lose, it's because the globalist cabal stole the election from them. Don't concede, and we're going to come to the politicians who don't do what we want with bayonets. This is terrifying. And this is why I think it's perfectly appropriate to say there is a push towards fascism. That is what we're watching right now. Horrible.